I want to take a look now at a clip from Fox and Friends of host Brian Kilmeade realizing that, oh my goodness, maybe we should have regulation to protect consumers. And he would never admit to the wording I'm about to use, but the essence of the point that he's making proves that so many of the individuals he's been running cover for, the politicians he's been putting out propaganda for, have been wrong on a lot of these issues. And the politicians he's been bashing have been onto something. So this has to do with the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. And he's realizing that derailments happen a good bit, unfortunately, and they don't all involve toxic chemicals like East Palestine, but derailments happen. And the way that we protect people and protect prevent the costs that go into responding to that is through proper regulation of these industries, specifically with the railroad industry. And that is something now I guess he's on board with, but this exact type of action is something that Fox News and all the politicians they support will actively fight against most days. Take a look.
Say is I knew nothing about these derailment numbers. I'm stunned by it. That we have thousands of derailments all the time, and how costly it is, and how they're not kept up, and maybe the regulation needs to be there. I think there needs to be there's a widespread sentiment to have a look at the whole rail industry, what the lobbyists are doing, and what the actual. I heard there were 3 people on that train of how many cars? 20 of which had chemicals in it?
Somebody at the front, somebody at the back, and
does that
some
blow
other
you away? I mean, I know
well,
that say is...
And the specific example we've been talking about is in 2015, the Obama administration implemented regulations specifically with the rail industry to enhance the braking systems. And under Trump, as well as other things, but that was one of the things, and that's applicable to the East Palestine situation. And under Trump in 2018, his administration, the Transportation Department, rolled those back because the savings that would provide to them were more significant than the extra amount of protection that would bring. And so that is something, and that type of ideology is something that Brian Kilmeade spends his life advocating on behalf of and bolstering the messages of politicians who are holding that type of ideology. We've been told for so long from Republicans, deregulate, deregulate, deregulate. You trying to get the government to interfere with the free market's horrible and it's socialism, and the government should stay out of the lives of people and companies and let the free market do its thing. The free market doing its thing gets us East Palestine, Ohio. More regulations to make people safer. And again, let me say this, I've said it before, but regulations aren't always good. You have to have a nuanced understanding of when are they good, when are they bad. But the oversimplified take we've gotten for so long from conservatives is deregulate. We just got to deregulate. There's in every situation too many regulations. And here Brian Kilmeade is realizing that's not the case, at least with the railroad industry. Absolutely, I agree. And that's why we need to have conversations about when is it necessary to interfere with the free market to make sure that consumers are protected through proper regulation. It's wild to see this. It's enraging to see it because it really is admitting without explicitly admitting that he's been wrong the whole time in regard to so many of these talking points. The EPA, it's so bad. All these regulations with the Environmental Protection Agency are horrible and we should just abolish it. That's something we've heard from conservatives. That's an example of when the government does things that gets criticized by conservatives that actually is focused on protecting us and protecting the environment, which protects us, and all these different things. Wild. Now, moving to one moment on Fox News where they admitted the point that I'm making in regard to Trump.
Apparently, regulations regarding train safety were changed during the Trump administration. This particular railroad and others lobbied President Trump to dismantle an Obama-era rule that would have required railroads to update their braking systems. And apparently the Obama administration had pushed for it to govern transportation of hazardous materials after about 500,000 barrels of crude were dumped. But ultimately, the Trump administration undid that and said the costs exceeded the benefits. Apparently.
Yeah. So when is there going to be a reckoning? You'll say it here because you know it makes sense in regard to this particular event. But when are you going to recognize, oh, maybe I've been covering for politicians who have the wrong ideology? No, it's not always socialism when the government protects its citizens. No, it's not always horrible when there's regulations put on our companies within the free market. No, the free market doesn't always by itself bring us the best outcomes. Oftentimes it doesn't. And just to give you a little update in case you're interested, getting away from Fox News specifically on what's going on in East Palestine as far as the EPA's response to it, the Environmental Protection Agency announced a sweeping enforcement action against Norfolk Southern on Tuesday, compelling the rail company to conduct and pay for cleanup actions associated with the February 3rd derailment of a train carrying toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio. Quote, the Norfolk Southern train derailment has upended the lives of East Palestine families. An EPA's order will ensure the company is held accountable for jeopardizing the health and safety of this community, the EPA administrator said. Hopefully that's followed through on, and Norfolk Southern is held accountable more than just the EPA needs to and is getting involved in this. But on that front, actions being taken. Hopefully it will be what is justified here. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.